So now to the third and final part of this morning's presentation. What are the consequences of redefining marriage? Because you could say, all right, I'm tracking with you. This is what marriage is. It's a comprehensive union. Spouses engage in a comprehensive act oriented towards a comprehensive good. They commit to comprehensive commitments. It matters because that union of a man and a woman can produce a child. Children deserve a mother and a father. Fine and good. But how does allowing Adam and Steve get married impact any of this? How would redefining marriage to include same-sex couples in any way take away from the public purpose of marriage? It's a good question. It's the next logical question. And let me say three things in response. In all three of my comments here, we'll follow the general rubric of ideas have consequences and bad ideas have bad consequences. And so for the first consequence, I'll say is that if you were to redefine marriage to eliminate the norm of sexual complementarity, there would be no institution left in civil society and in public life that upheld, even as an ideal, that every child deserves both a mother and a father. The message that redefining marriage to make it a genderless institution would send is that men and women are interchangeable, that mothers and fathers are substitutionable, and that two moms or two dads is the same thing as a married mom and a dad. So the law would be teaching something about marriage, and it would be teaching that marriage is much more about the desires of adults than about the needs of children. It recenters the marital relationship around adult romance, adult emotion, as I mentioned at the beginning, the priority of the intense emotional union of the adult, rather than about the type of institution that can create new life and then unite that new life with the man and the woman who gave him or her new life. And if you doubt that the law has the power to teach like this, think about how we redefined marriage the first time, with the introduction of no-fault divorce. In the common law tradition, marriage had a strong presumption of permanency, but on certain occasions, under certain conditions, you could receive a bill of divorce. And in the common law, there were the 3 A's of abuse, abandonment, and adultery. Serious reasons for declaring your marriage to have to end, to have to cease. My spouse is abusing me, my spouse has abandoned me, my spouse has committed adultery on me. Those were the types of reasons that would take a marital relationship that was expected to be permanent till death do us part and declare it over. With the introduction of no-fault divorce, a spouse could now abandon his or her spouse for any reason or for no reason at all. That's the idea behind no-fault divorce. You don't have to cite fault. And what we saw was that divorce rates actually more than doubled. They've since lowered just a little bit. Because the law taught something. The law taught that marriage need not even aspire to be permanent. That you can get out of a marriage for trivial reasons. You can get out of a marriage for no reason. And the law shapes culture. Our culture then shapes our beliefs. And our beliefs then shape our actions. This is the pedagogical function of law. The law functions as a teacher. And so what the law would be teaching here is that marriage is mainly about adult romance, not about stable family life for creating and then raising children. And if you think about the statistics I mentioned just a moment ago, 40% of all Americans, 50% of Hispanics, 70% of African Americans born to single mothers. And then all of the social costs that come with that in terms of child poverty, decreased social mobility, increased crime, increased welfare spending. It suggests to me that the most pressing social problem in America right now is the problem of absentee fathers. But how will we insist that fathers are essential when the law is teaching that fathers are optional? And that's the question for President Obama after he evolved on marriage. When you read back to him that quote about the importance of fathers, how can he insist and have the law send that message that fathers are essential when he now supports redefining marriage to make fathers optional? So that's the first consequence of redefining marriage. It changes the meaning of marriage, and it changes what the law will teach about marriage, which will in turn change what people believe about marriage, and which will in turn shape how people live out marriage.